Right in college, when I graduated, I was involved in a terrible car accident, which it was near fatal. I received many, many injuries. I actually became permanently disabled. The guy who I was in the car accident with, he was my boyfriend. He broke up with me when I was in the hospital. The person who I shared who I have children with, committed tax fraud against me.
Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Real Money Habits with me, Sharan Amit. Today we are talking to Angela. Angela is a single mom of 3. She has seen so much adversity in her life, including an accident that left her almost dead. When she was down physically and mentally, she had to face fraud by close friends and family. She is still facing collections from the days of those frauds. But she has managed to rebuild her credit up to an impressive 800 plus. Here is Angela with a story which is a cautionary tale for all of us in terms of what all can go wrong and how to navigate a difficult life. Angela, how are you?
Hi, my name's Angela Maroney, and I'm from Howell, New Jersey.
Great, good to see you. Let's start off by just getting your definition of money. What does money mean to you?
Money in my life is basically a necessity. It helps me take care of myself and children. And it makes me feel powerful. Money makes me feel powerful.
Okay. That's interesting. That's how the world works. So you feel empowered through money in terms of being able to fulfill your responsibility, I'm sure, right?
Correct.
And be able to, and I think I've seen such definition coming typically from parents, because they really feel like they want to give so much to their kids, right?
Yes.
And again, being a necessity, at times I couldn't talk about pain higher than when you are not able to give something to your kids when they really need it, right? So I feel for you. I understand from where you're coming from. So you said you're in which city in New Jersey again?
It's Howell, New Jersey. It's near the Jersey Shore. It's just a little bit inland compared to where all the beaches are, but we're right next to all the beaches where I live.
Wow. That must be nice.
It is. I was born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life.
Okay. That's lovely. So that was going to be my next question. You have been there your life. You like it there?
It's very expensive to live in New Jersey. It's high demand. You have to constantly be working and generating money in order to stay in New Jersey. It's not for the weak.
That's for sure. And being so close to like New York and that Manhattan area, it has got its plus and minus, right? You are close to, say, a place where a lot of opportunities are there. At the same time, you bear the brunt of it. Like latest, I don't know if you're following the news, they're talking about trying to help Manhattan through a congestion tax, whereby they will disincentivize going into Manhattan. But that what that means is that more and more of transport and other traffic, etc., would stay in New Jersey or come to Jersey. So New Jersey is upset about that.
I think I travel by New Jersey Transit, and I think that's what they're trying. They want less traffic coming in, but if you're taking a bus where it's a group of people all taking the same bus for the same goal to go into New York City and work, that's what I think they're trying to promote. They don't want so much cars with so much pollution, with so much gas, with too much traffic. It's very congested to go back and forth between the two places. My parents actually worked in the city my whole life also. So it was always inspiring to know that there was that many opportunities in New York City. And they actually do work for the public transportation system. My father was a part of Amtrak. My mother's now married to somebody for New Jersey Transit. So I definitely support the public transportation back and forth from New Jersey to New York to make less pollution, make less congestion, but still be able to earn the money in New York City.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm an actress. I do work part-time as an actress. So I'm very fortunate to live where I live and have the opportunities I do.
Oh, yeah. Naturally. So that helps too in your particular profession to stay close to a major city. So that's good to know. Now, your parents, you said they were both working, probably good jobs. So how was your childhood? Like you studied in good schools and had pretty much, you will say, a comfortable childhood. Is that fair?
We were, I would say, upper middle class. We didn't really want for nothing. We went on vacations, but we did not live in a big house. My parents weren't able to afford a house until I was in high school. And then they actually ended up getting divorced. But because of all the stress of money, actually. It's that actually just gave me, their divorce was based on not being able to spend money in sync with each other. Like my dad thought my mother had spending habits. My mother thought my dad had bad spending habits. They ended up divorcing on that. I actually got a free college education out of that, though, in the divorce. That was a part of the divorce settlement, was that my father had to put me and my brother through school. So me and my brother both got a college education through my father or through our parents. My mother made that decision in the divorce. She didn't want anything but her kids to have a college education, and we both got that.
That's very sort of smart of her, and we have to applaud her.
I'll always respect her and love her for that. Yes, she put us first. I do the same for my children. She was a great example for that, and I do the same for mine.
That's really nice. So they divorced when you were in high school, you said?
Yes.
Okay. That's probably one reason that you were more aware of what was going on, like how you clarified that finances played a strong role in the strain in the relationship. It's very typical. In pretty much all relationship, I'll say all divorces or majority of divorces, finances play a very strong role. It may manifest itself in different ways. It may show as anger and behavior issue or affairs or whatnot, but many a times it starts with finances, and kids don't know that, right? But because you were a bit older, relatively speaking, you could see that and sense that. So that's something which is unfortunate, but that's a truth of life, that finances impact a lot of relationship.
I was going to say, that's why I said it empowered me. It makes me feel very independent to be able to take care of my children with no help, or to know how to take care of my children, to be able to generate money so that I don't need anybody or have to put myself in situations that I don't want to just because of money. I don't have to ask anybody for money. I'm making the money.
Yeah. No, it's definitely empowering. I agree. So your parents separate, but your mother generously decides to sort of you put kids first. So you got your good college education, which again is a great big win for somebody getting their college paid for. Nowadays, majority of our population is struggling to pay back their college debt. So you had no debt. What did you go to college for? Like, what was it?
Fashion merchandising, business, marketing.
Okay, that's I would say it's a good industry, both fashion and you said your marketing, business. Okay, so did you make use of that degree coming out of college?
What happened? I became permanently disabled. Right in college, when I graduated, I was involved in a terrible car accident, which it was near fatal. I received many injuries. I actually became permanently disabled, so I was not able to really use the college degree. But then now, I just turned 42 and I started acting about a year ago, and I'm able to actually utilize the degree now. There's a lot of business in the acting. There's styling. There's fashion. There's a lot of things that everything that I learned in college, it's very useful in the field that I'm at right now, what I'm doing. There is a writer's strike going on in New York City right now. However, I'm a non-union actress, so I'm still getting lots of work. And a lot of times they're asking me to create my own things. And this is my education. This is what I learned how to do: marketing, advertising, all that type of stuff. Even being able to make appointments, running a business, a lot of that type of stuff. I was giving classes for how to open your own business, how to do the taxes for the business. I took lots of classes, and they're all coming back to me. Education is never wasted.
Oh, that's a positive statement. Like you said, education is never wasted. But I like to go back to what happened. That was almost shocking when you said that you had to go through that early at such a young age. You're 19, you said, right? So
Yes.
What happened? Like, were you driving the car or somebody you knew?
I was a passenger. I was a passenger in the car, and they did not see the sun glare, so they didn't see brake lights, and they went underneath the 18-wheeler tractor trailer at like 45 miles an hour. So the car was split in half. The roof was sheared off. I was kind of pronounced dead at the scene. Then they found a post. I was helivaced. I was brought to a trauma hospital. I was kept in a coma for 2 weeks after they induced the coma. And I'm sitting here in front of you right now talking. So there was a lot of what ifs. There was a lot of things, stated to me that like I wasn't going to be able to walk again, or I have permanent brain damage because there was a hole in the left part of my brain. A lot of my shoulder was broken. My backbones were broken. At one point, I was told I couldn't have children. And this was all at 19. And my face has tons of scars. My bottom lip is fake. I have 36 stitches there, stitches here. My hand is broken. It doesn't come up from that thing. There's lots of permanent damage, permanent nerve damage done as well. And then at 35, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So then that started getting where I can't use my hands as much as I used to do. And there was basically nothing I can do. The state of New Jersey declared me permanently disabled. I cannot sit or stand for more than like 15 minutes or sit comfortable without medication. So I had to find a backup plan because you can't support your children off of Social Security disability. That's basic. It doesn't even cover my rent.
So we'll come to that. Yeah, I'm sure it would have been very difficult. But again, for somebody so young to go through that, and like you said, I can't even imagine how painful or how long that recovery would have.
Lots of rehabilitation, lots of therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy I had to go through.
I've seen somebody close, go through similar, like go through a major accident and recovery, and I have seen that it's not easy. So kudos to you to see it through, and kind of, we will come to it, but looks like you are still decided that I'm going to fight, I'm going to live my life to the extent possible. So kudos to you. But now, so that was really bad. But financially speaking, one thing is that you had everything going for you, a good college education in a nice field, paid for college education, looked like you would have a good life. But this hit, again, this is something which can happen to anybody. It was very unfortunate. But financially speaking, apart from all the medical struggles that you were having, was there, for example, was there a settlement which would have helped you at least financially?
There was. We did press charges against all the different places, and my parents fought hard for me, and I did receive a nice settlement, and then I structured the settlement. I figured out that you made the most money in a settlement if you structured it and got the most when you were older and the least when you were younger. I also felt that with the brain damage I had, I wasn't going to spend money responsibly. At 19, I'll say I got $750,000. At that point, I didn't think getting that much money at 19 was wise. I figured money in the future would be more well spent than money as a teenager, quote unquote, or in my 20s. So I chose to get the least amount of money when I think I structured it for when I was 25 to 40. So I got money at 25, 30, 35, and 40 years old, where I just received my last settlement 2 years ago, and now it's done. With that, the bank added more interest to it, so I received more money structuring a settlement that way.
That was very, very smart. I must commend. I don't know how you did it, but I
don't know how I did that either.
I wouldn't expect a 19-year-old to be, and that too, so somebody who is suffering medically, to be so smart and aware and mature. But you did the right thing. And because now that you have seen the settlement through, probably that will be your message. Because I had, I'll tell you, I had another guest on the same show, and that show is in fact going up tonight on my channel when we are recording this on a Sunday.
I'll look forward to watching that tonight then.
Yeah, but that guest, they got a $50,000 settlement, and he says that they just partied with that settlement, and within 6 months they were out of all money. Right?
That's what I didn't want to do. I just didn't want to do that. I got very low self-esteem with having facial scars and stuff like that. I was also a lot heavier during that time. I think I was 125 pounds heavier. So I've lost weight naturally over the years. But being that girl with all those scars on my face, laying in a hospital bed, and the guy who I was in the car accident with, he was my boyfriend. He broke up with me when I was in the hospital. So I was literally by myself. And he was upset that we were suing, but he didn't understand. We were only 19 years old. We were suing insurance companies. I wasn't suing him personally. It's all insurance. So he didn't know that. He didn't understand it. I didn't talk to him for almost 20 years, but he did call me and apologize after years and years and years. But yeah, so I think that was one of the smartest decisions I made, was saving money for when I'm older. And it definitely helped me out with because then I became a mother. And I have more responsibilities now than I did at 19.
I'm sure. But would you say that it was all your decision, or were you advised by either parents or a financial advisor or anybody else? I'm just curious because, like I said, many of our viewers, they come to money either through settlements or inheritance or lottery win. They don't know how to deal with it. And you are an example of somebody who has dealt with it correctly.
The lawyers, they draw up the paperwork for you, and it showed you the different ways you can either get all the money straight now, and it showed you how much got taken out. I saw the number, what it said of the last structured settlement, where I'm like, wait a minute, that's about $30,000 more than this. I'd rather have that $30,000 more. That's why I made that decision solely. When I saw the numbers on the paperwork that was presented to me, and I said, well, this makes more sense. And the lawyer definitely agreed, said, you're making the best decision. Everybody else picks the first one because they want money right away.
Yeah, everyone goes for instant gratification. So I'm
I
glad.
didn't want to do
Probably
that.
it was
was
your
kind of,
education and experience till that time in life that helped you. But
I was actually planning on living a long life. When I was saved from that car accident, I felt that there was a plan for me. That's why I was saved in such a traumatic type of, like, literally, if you would have seen the car in the accident, you would not think anybody walked away from being alive from that. So I take my life very seriously. And when I was only 19 years old, I wanted to turn 40 years old. So this was looking to me as a reward. At 19, I go, I'm going to get a reward when I turn 40 years old, and I'm going to be given $22,000 or whatnot. And I'm like, that was giving me something to look forward to. It was motivation, inspiration.
I agree. Okay, great. So you get into the accident, there is a settlement and you're recovering. So till what point in your life you had to live off the settlement and you did not have any other financial sources, either through yourself or through a partner, husband, whatever?
I lived that settlement money. My thing is, if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I've always taken that money and I throw it away. I do not depend on it. I do not count it as part of my income. I do not think about it. I don't feed off of it. That money's away right now. The money before, a couple times I did need, like I had a car breakdown out of nowhere. And insurance didn't cover some of the stuff, or my child needed braces and I paid $5,000 out of pocket so I could get a discount. Stuff like that I had money for, and I did take that settlement. Other than that, I don't depend on that money or use it or count it really as an income. Whatever money I'm making daily is what I use to pay bills with.
Okay, now that's very
and I don't
smart.
spend. Yeah, I don't overspend.
Okay, that's good. That's very smart. But what I wanted to ask was, at 19, when you were in an accident, I'm sure it took you some time to recover. I'm just trying to take you back there and understand, like, chronologically, at what point you started, say, doing something or earning some money. Like, it would have taken you some time to be in a stage where you can actually earn something.
At 22 years old, I believe it was 22, 23 actually, I paid for an apartment for a whole year. Like, I found it was my very first apartment ever. And I paid for, I think the bill was $11,596. So I spent close to $12,000 on an apartment for a year. That was my first big spending moment.
But where was the money coming from for that spending?
That was the settlement, because I didn't have anywhere to live. I was living with my parents that whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, when
That's
I was
fair.
recovering, I stayed with my parents. They were taking me back. I couldn't even drive yet. I had to go make sure I could drive, because being in the accident, they didn't know if I was going to be scared to drive. A lot of people, they go in a car accident, they get scared to drive. So it was baby steps. I did all my therapy. My parents took me back and forth to that. Once I started driving again and I found myself a part-time job, I took out the money so I could get an apartment. And I figured if I paid for a whole year, I'd be able to earn money for a whole year to put the money back.
Okay. So that was your big spending.
Yes.
By the way, as a side note, you spoke about emotions, right? And I'm glad that you didn't let this emotion stop you and you were able to drive probably eventually. But
Yes.
I have again heard, I don't know this person firsthand, but I've heard this story through a friend that this gentleman, he was a truck driver, and that's the way his family used to earn money. But at some point in his life, he backed his lawnmower on his child, a big lawnmower which you sit and drive, and the child lost a leg. The father got affected so much that he just couldn't drive after that. So, and that was his only skill he knew. That was the profession. So the family has to kind of think of something entirely new from where money would come, because he said, I can't touch the wheels anymore. So emotions can
traumatic. Your heart starts
traumatic.
beating. It's very unhealthy to live like that. I feel for him. And I'm very fortunate that it doesn't scare me every single time I get behind the wheel. But something
You're a
like
strong
that.
person. You're a strong person for that. applaud that. So again, so you spent $12,000 from settlement, you got the apartment. Now tell me, I'm trying to look for when did you start earning and what was that first? Like how did you start earning any money? At what point you start earning anything?
Every single time I've tried to, then it got knocked back down because of I wasn't able to do job. I didn't actually work for 6 years after I was diagnosed with the illnesses because I had to see a whole new set of doctors, and they were giving me series of medicines that my body didn't adjust to. So there was a whole lapse again. And this was after I became a mother. So I had 3 people who I was taking care of financially, but then I couldn't work for 6 years during that time.
You said three. You said 3. Are you including the father of the child as well?
No, that would be a 4th one then, because I did take care.
No, I was just curious that did you find a partner who would contribute financially? I'm now focusing more on finances here. Did you eventually find a partner who will support you financially, or would you think that that partner was there but finances were still on you?
I've never in my life had anybody split bills with me, ever. The father of my 3 children, he was a stay-at-home parent. He did not work. That eventually broke us up as well because of if you can't depend on anybody emotionally, physically, or financially, you kind of he was around for the children, which I can't take that away. That's great that he wanted to be near the children, but he did not financially support them at all. And I'd be beating a dead horse if I brought him in for child support because he just doesn't work. He is 43 and lives with his mom, and they're okay with that. That's not how I'm not okay with that. I couldn't be living off of my parents at 43 years old. I just couldn't. And I have my own children. See, we're opposite in that sense. Yeah. I had very low self-esteem when I met him, and basically that's why I let myself not make. It's like I've done very smart things, and then I did something like that, which was very not smart. Like even before I had kids with him, he was living with his mom, and he did not have a job. That should have told me right there that I wasn't going to make him get a job or want to live on his own, because now he's back in the same exact spot where I met him.
Right. And again, there are lessons to be drawn here as well. Your situation was very unique and difficult. So you have acknowledged it. That's brave that you're acknowledging that statement about self-esteem that you made. Right. Yes. So this happens to a lot of us. You were in almost an extreme condition that you suffered a lot of injuries, which were even visible, like you said, on your face and other space. So I can imagine why you will have that problem with self-esteem. But there are many others, frankly, women in particular, who have that problem and who overlook a lot of red flags when they find somebody who is taking interest in them and all, right? Because of that self-esteem problem. They see right in front of them, but they overlook those problems. But the problem is that eventually those things will show up. And at times it becomes even more painful to suffer or kind of realize that later in life, right? So it's something which one should consider. I don't know if you have any message for some people who might be feeling like that I know, say, this boyfriend or this girlfriend is not right for me, but at least there is somebody for me, right? I don't know if that's the right approach.
There are people out there that actually are real and truthful, and they don't want to use you. And the first time that you notice a red flag, you should literally write it down. Keep yourself a book of pros and cons, and I bet you're going to be adding on to the con side more than the pro side. If you're that kind of learner, if you need to write it down and see it every single day, you should go ahead and do that. If you're not as strong, that person could have wiped me out for that same person actually committed tax fraud against me and my children. He had all of my information and then said that he was a head of household living in a different place. And that really messed up my finances for the last 3 years. I'm still recouping from that.
So that's sad and shocking.
The person who I shared who I have children with committed tax fraud against me. He had all my information. He said all he had to do was tell the lawyer he was the head of household.
But was
I can't believe it was that easy.
Yeah, no, that's very shocking. Somebody will do it, like you said, not only to their partner or their ex, but their own kids, because he's not supporting them financially either. So that's shocking. But was he, were you legally separated at that point?
We were never really legally together. We were never married. I was with him for 20 years, and technically, if paperwork would have been filled out, we technically could have been married in the state of New Jersey because of common law after 11 years. We never filled out paperwork. There was never anything like, I would never marry him. I was taking care of him. I don't want to take care of a man. That was never my goal in life. I don't want to be taken care of neither. I just wanted a partner, somebody to share responsibilities with.
Right.
But at this point, I think I've built up such independence that I don't know if I'll ever be able to share that, because I mean, I'm 42 turning 43, and it's just not a lot of options out there for my age.
Well, that is true. That is true. But at the same time, like you said, it's probably better to wait and find the right person than the wrong person, because then you waste more time trying to undo things. So
Yes.
hopefully, like they say, that there is always somebody for you. So hopefully you find the right person. But coming back to tax fraud, how did you really discover it?
I discovered this because I was getting all my paperwork to my house. Then I stopped, and when I became on Social Security disability, that's not counted as an income. And I was not acting I told you I didn't work for 6 years. So during that time, I had no income. I didn't think at all that I could collect taxes. So I wasn't filling out tax paperwork, and I wasn't getting paperwork coming. Once I started working and I had a W-2 come to my house and I wanted to do my taxes, I actually contacted the IRS and said, I haven't gotten any paperwork. They are the ones who identified that I live in a different town and I'm married. And then I go, that's not true. So I had to prove back my identity to them, go through a whole bunch of security type of stuff with the IRS. And now they have to do their investigations. But I still have not been paid for the 3 years. This all has to be investigated. The checks did go to him. They have all that on record. As of right now, they said I have to amend the past 3 tax years with the correct information that I am head of household, that I was disabled, the couple of W-2s that I have, but I wouldn't have been receiving the amount of taxes that he received back because he got earned income child tax, things like that, because it was showing us as a full intact family. He was working, I think, part-time at a couple little places where he had a W-2 too. Those W-2s intact with a full family, they gave him a whole bunch of tax credits and stuff like that. And they were sending them all to his house, and he did not tell me about any of that stuff.
And then there were higher credits. I'm sure it was during this COVID period, right? Last 2-3 years, there were higher tax credits being given. What about the checks that government was mailing to people? Did they come to you?
He got also. Oh. This is why I argue with them. I go, you send my Social Security checks to my house every single month and my 3 kids. How did no red flags go up or alerts that you're sending my taxes to another place? I was arguing with the IRS, the FBI, the CIA. I mean, I'm talking to everybody about this. I had to call my local police station and file charges against him because I was unaware that any of this was going on. He actually had a family friend who was the accountant. That's why they pressed everything through. He told that family accountant that we were married. Well, we were never married. I was never married to anybody.
And even if you thought, like you said, legally together, but you had separated, so there was no basis for it.
I was the only one ever kind of working, taking care. I was the only one paying rent. I was the only one paying utilities. I was the only one paying gas in a car. That's never shared his finances with me or these children.
That's really sad. But in your situation, I think you're doing the right thing. You need to fight, say, the IRS and the authorities to get your money back. You may have to do certain things like complain and criminal complaint against the individual, but since he does not have any assets anyway, you are not going to get any money out of him. So you're better to claim IRS. IRS can figure it out with him, but you should kind of lay claim to your money, which is due to you.
I never gave authorization to change my address. I never gave authorization to say my status. I've always been had a household since I'm 19 years old. I've been on my own since then, and I've taken care of myself. I had my first child in 2005 and the last one in 2012.
I see. So this is very unfortunate that somebody who, I would say, who has the trust, because you share kids with them, who had your trust and had access to certain information, chose to use it the wrong way. It's really unfortunate. But you were telling me in the briefing call that this was not the first time you had to face fraud, was it?
When I was 19, that same age when I got brain damage, a friend of a friend wanted to buy a car off of another friend. In order to do that, they said you needed a cosigner. At 19, I really didn't even know what a cosigner was. I had no idea. At that time, I had just got that settlement. I had very, very, very good credit. And I was with a group of people who I thought were my friends. I co-signed this car, who was from one friend to another. The person took off with the car. I didn't even know her. I don't even really remember her name. And she left so fast with the car. That put an $11,952 debt on my credit. That never, ever, ever goes away. If you co-sign a car for somebody, it's not something that you could push off like a credit card or a balance off of a bill. They take those to third-party collections and they put it into, they just never stop calling you. When I did receive my Social Security disability settlement when I was, I think, 39 years old, it went off my credit report, or my credit started back at 0. So for the last couple of years, I built my credit back up. Right now, I'm at an 813. At one point, it was below 600. That was very hard for me to build up because of that co-signing a car for someone I didn't even know. We tried to fight the fact that I had brain damage and I was not in the right state of mind when I signed that, but those banks, they don't care about that. Citibank, I think that's who the loan was through. They do not stop hassling you. I don't think it affects my credit as much because I was able to earn credit cards, and I started off like, an Amazon Prime card. And then I think I got like a Macy, like a local retail store. I would make small purchases and then pay them off right away. And I also bought a car and I paid the car off right away. All those things help build that credit score up to 813 right now, where if I walk into somewhere, they will give me credit. So
That's incredible that you could fight it through. And did you dispute this thing with the credit bureaus? Because that helps actually to bring up your credit card. If you say that they're claiming, but I am disputing this.
We did do that. And also some things now they say that are not they're more lenient on is medical bills. Like I have this one doctor who's billing me stuff that wasn't supposed. I'm on Medicare. I'm not ever supposed to really be billed anything, but they keep billing me for a procedure, something I had done. That is kind of on your credit, but they don't hold that against your score any longer. And you do have to identify each individual problem to these creditors, and they will adjust your credit score that way. So
okay, so you have been smart. Like you did face problems, but one thing which I'm hearing is that you have actively pursued those things. And this story of having these problems with medical bills, with some co-signing the loan, you still have a score of 813. That also tells everyone that if you're smart about it, if you are closely monitoring your credit report and taking action, right? It can be disputing, it can be negotiating, it can be settling, whatever it is. There is a way out. People very easily give up. They say, oh my God, this happened, none of my fault, but now I'm going to live with that 600 credit score all my life. And then they keep making those mistakes because nobody will give you a loan, so they will go to a loan shark or take an even bigger loan at higher interest and fail to pay that and get in that cycle. I'm glad that you were smart to not get into that. And again, I agree with you that your friends, so-called friends, were not really your friends who made you co-sign that loan. In fact, right. Co-sign is so bad, and this again is message for the larger world, that even when was for a friend of a friend, which you should never do, like never.
Again, have low self-esteem.
Yeah, it was I agree. You wanted validation from your friends. You had few friends left and you wanted them around. I can totally get that. But yeah, in a real world, you should never do that. Even for family, it's very, very risky. I've heard so many stories which you'd be worried, like how would my brother and my mom and my daughter would feel? But you end up spoiling that relationship when they will not pay and you will get hounded. Regardless, the relationship will get impacted anyway. So I know of families where like parents have refused to co-sign for kids, and probably rightly so. Like same like in a car loan, for an education loan. If you are a parent, if you co-sign an education loan for college and the kids, they don't pay, then the parents are on the hook. I've seen folks in their 60s and 70s who are again being honored by those collection calls. So need to be really careful when you co-sign. And again, it's unfortunate that your friends decided to take advantage of you in such a situation when you just underwent so much. So those friends are not around anymore.
I still get the paperwork, and I have to tell them each month that I'm still on Social Security disability. I'm still limited to the income I can bring in. I am a single mother of 3 children that go to school. I have to tell them this constantly because they have to know where you're at and what you're doing. And did I win any lotteries? Did I win any, did I go to Atlantic City and win money? They literally ask you those questions because they want their money.
So at this point, you are collecting disability, which is serving, but I'm sure that is not enough, right, for you, particularly when you're not getting any child support.
I do not get child support, and taking care of 3 children is very expensive. I went from a studio apartment to a 3-bedroom apartment. I lived in the same complex for 18 years to keep the kids like in the same school, keep them with their same friends, keep them in the same area but I honestly can't afford to live here. I honestly should be living somewhere much cheaper. I should be applying because I am limited. I have a fixed income. I shouldn't have to not work so hard because I should be taking care of myself physically, but living where it's just impossible to. Being 42 years old and permanently disabled, I am on Medicare, but I don't qualify to live in a fixed income, like 55 and older place. That's why they give the cheaper rents, and because they're on a fixed income, and like all my grandparents, they live in places where it's a lot lower in rent and stuff, and you have to be 55 or 65 and older to live there. However, I am in the same financial bracket as them. And this is something they haven't designed for anybody, where if you are permanently disabled and a single mom or anything, like they need to give us somewhere to live. They need to, or give us some kind of help, because I have to at least make an extra almost $1,000 a month just to stay where I'm at.
Have you explored Section 8 housing that FHA provides to settle loans?
They actually have shut down all those in New Jersey. My oldest is 17, and I've been on a list that long. I've been on a New Jersey lottery for 17 years, and I've never been, and I've updated my income. I've updated my children's ages and everything, and I never get chosen for those.
So it's very unfortunate that living in the most economically advanced country economy, if somebody has to wait 17 years to get benefits that she so richly deserves, that's a failure of our system. Right.
It definitely is. It's very stressful to me. I really, not that I wish I didn't have to work so hard, but it's very stressful. It's very, very stressful. And I do have, I get sick because of it. Majority of all the things wrong with me are triggered by stress. The more I stress, then the less my body works. I literally have to stay in good spirits at all times in order for my body not to hurt as much. If not, having rheumatoid arthritis, it's in your joints and your bones, your blood. Your blood runs through your whole entire body. You have joints and muscles through your whole entire body. When I get upset, my body gets upset. I'm unable to use my legs, my wrists, my arms. They burn, they hurt. It puts me literally to tears. I could pretty much, I cry every single day because of pain, but I have to work at least 3 days a week in order to stay where I'm living and feed my children and put clothes on them and let them live a normal life where they don't have to say, my mother's disabled and we can't have anything. I want them to be able to go out with their friends and enjoy life just like I did with 2 working parents.
I respect you for doing all that for your kids. And I know, like we said in the beginning, as parents, you want to do that. But it's so difficult for you. Unfortunately, like you definitely are in a much difficult situation because of the physical nature of your problem, your disability. But unfortunately, country is full of single moms who have different problems but who are having to bring up their kids alone, and it's definitely not easy. It's very painful. So
then I commend anybody who goes through like the domestic violence or goes through tax fraud or goes through if you keep fighting, you're gonna get to where you go. You just can't give up. That's all it is. And money literally makes the world go round, and you have to generate money. You have to kind of get in where you fit in. And that's how the acting started. I can't use my hands, and acting, you don't have to use your hands. You just kind of have to show up. I do a lot of background work, but then I've gotten lots of lead roles as well. The lead roles deal with a lot of memorization. I have brain damage. So those type of things challenge me a lot more. And not that I don't want to be challenged, but it's upsetting seeing myself fail. So I do not set myself up for failure. I try to do things that I know I'm capable of doing. So any type of acting job that I take, I try to work around good people and just make sure that the money comes in so that I can take care of my kids. And I don't have to use my hands. I travel on the New Jersey Transit back and forth to New York, so I don't have to drive. It's not stressful about that. So a lot of those things I figured out.
Sure. Do you have experience in acting, or you just picked?
I do not. I've never acted in my life. It came off I come off very natural. So that's why I kind of like the whole thing. I feel it's rewarding because I see myself on TV or in commercials or doing live work. I see the response. I'm getting a good response from people, and it makes me feel good. It's helping my self-esteem. It's helping my confidence, and it's definitely helping my bank account.
I'm sure it does. But here is another example of somebody who had to go through so much in her life, right? But you looked around and you figured out that this is something which you can do. So you did not have a college education for this. You did not have any prior experience, but you still decided, and then you have a disability which doesn't allow you to kind of go out and knock on all the doors, but still you have figured out something that works for you and are able to make some money too, right? So that's again the grit that you are showing. It is inspiring, and I hope others who are listening, watching, take some inspiration from that. But is that
I was gonna say, a lot of people told me I couldn't do it. I'm 5'2". I have lots of tattoos. There were so many things that people told me, you can't be an actress. You never did that before. You have tattoos. You're too short. You're not thin enough, or you're not fat, like whatever. And that negativity you really don't need. Anything that you don't ever, because that puts doubt in you. You don't want doubt whenever you're approaching anything in life. You want to stay very positive. And I bet you 9 out of 10 times you're going to succeed if you believe in yourself. That's all you have to do is believe in yourself and don't give up. Don't let other people deteriorate your decision.
That's so inspiring. Very well said, and that's so inspiring. So is acting giving you the extra, like you said, you're short about $1,000 a month from what your expenses are and what your income are. Is acting helping you bridge that gap?
It is, and it's less work, where I only have to apply myself maybe 1 or 2 times a week, or maybe 6 times a month, and that helps generate the extra cash I need to live. Where I don't have to sit there and say, how am I going to pay my bills, or do I have to go into my savings? I like to be able to still add to a savings account and live comfortably. I try not to spend overly. A lot of the things I do with my kids are free, and they don't even know that. I take them to free events. I take them to a lot of community events that looks like I'm spending a lot of money, but I'm not spending a dime. I pack a lunch for us to go. I don't spend the extra money on food and drinks at the places we go to. I try to make it very intimate, where I say, let's have a picnic. That's basically me saying I want to be cheaper. I do collect food stamps because I do qualify for them. So I use those food stamps to help feed my children as much as I can. We do not eat out. We don't go to restaurants. Or I really literally try to incorporate the free things that I get to help them live a quality life.
That's excellent.
And still be able to save.
You don't go to restaurants, but you do go to family picnics, and you do go to community events. And that's another thing. A lot of these things are either free or paid for by the county and so many other things. Yeah. But people don't even realize because they are not advertised so much. Like if there is a company doing an event with a $50 per head ticket, they will post about it everywhere, and you will see it on Facebook and pictures, and people will want to go there. But what folks don't realize is there are a lot of other things which you can do with your kids, which do not cost so much money, but it probably requires you to do a little bit of more research to figure out. But Correct. You're doing great. You're doing great with that kid.
Thank you.
Sure. So with that, are you having to take any sort of debt or a loan, or you think for now you don't need that? Like putting anything on credit card or taking a loan to bridge the gap, or you're able to manage with your extra gig?
What happens also is when you get credit, you start receiving so much extra invitations for more credit cards, for more stuff. I limited myself to the cards that generate the most feedback for me. Like Wells Fargo is a bank, a local bank. They have those in a lot of places. They have a credit card. If you use that credit card, you get a percentage of the money back. So I I also have a Wawa card. The Wawa card is just for gas. So I can actually monitor how much gas I get each month. It goes on one card, and then I also get kickbacks from that. Any credit that I do use monthly, it benefits me. And I pay those bills off. If I spend $200 a month on gas, I pay the $200 off. So then my balance is zero. If I pay on the Visa, anything that I use, I pay it back exactly that month, because I was basically just trying to get the free points when I spend each month. And I was telling you that I use the credit cards basically just to still help my credit. I use those in a way where it's an incentive. I don't use any credit cards out of necessity. I don't have to use them. I only use them strictly because I like to pay cash for everything. If you don't have cash for it, you shouldn't be buying it. That's a theory I've always had about life. If you don't have the cash, like credit, debit. Credit is great to have, but it also can hurt you a lot. Because I dealt...
That's very interesting. What was it? Credit, debit?
Yeah, take the credit, debt the credit, debit. I couldn't even afford cable for 10 years because of credit problems, even though I had the money. They won't even let you get cable. They will not let you buy a car without a cosigner. They won't let you do anything. Your credit as an adult is basically a reflection of who you are.
Right. So you are saying that one should protect their credit.
Correct. If you don't have the cash, you should not be buying it. You shouldn't depend on the credit to keep you afloat. That's your first mistake when you're spending more than you have. In my opinion, that's how I've always kept money. That's how I've never gone broke in my whole life. I don't spend it if I don't have it. It's you can't go into peer pressure. If everybody else is going out for drinks, I will not spend hundreds of dollars on, going out for drinking and having a good time, or it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'd rather go on nice vacations after saving for a couple of years and enjoy life that way.
You have all the right approaches, and I think what you're doing for yourself and your family is the right thing. Right? Very few people are able to do it, particularly in your situation. But whatever you said is 100% correct. You are able to delay gratification, save money, and then only sort of enjoy it. That's the right message too. Any area in life, again, monetary-wise, which you think is either troubling you at this point, be it how money is coming, or how much you have it saved, or how you spend, any area which you think needs improvement in your life or you are currently struggling with?
I think right now, in New Jersey, my rent 2 years ago was $930. They raised it to $1,770 now. So I'm living in the same exact apartment, but because of, I guess after the pandemic, and I guess after our government in New Jersey is raising a lot of property taxes and such, they doubled my rent in 2 years.
Crazy. I can understand raising rents, and rents have gone up everywhere.
It's completely legal. They said there's no cap. So there's no cap on the increase that they're allowed to raise the rent. At this point, I think it's foolish for me to stay where I'm at. And this is stressing me out. They raised that rent a couple of months ago to the $1,770. So I'm paying literally double what I was paying all the other years, which is making it impossible to save or for me to be able to plan. Or it's just basically, it's asinine, I think, for me to stay where I'm at. However, there's nowhere to go. It's just because of what happened after, America had a huge pandemic. It shut down for a couple of years. Everybody opened back up and raised prices on everything, especially in New Jersey. So that's the biggest problem I'm having right now. I've never been a homeowner. I would love to own my own home one day. And that's the point of me getting my credit to where it was and stuff like that. However, you have to show an income, and you have to have money saved in order. They won't give me no one's going to give me a house. I just don't. So that's where I'm at with
You have the credit for the house, but and there are schemes which will allow you to have very low down payment, practically zero down payment. But that steady income is something which will come up against you.
And the other thing that is helping the tax fraud. for me not having tax records for the past 3 years of my life, they won't give me a house. I can afford everything. Like I said, I had the credit right, I have everything right, but because of that person doing the tax fraud on me, I can't move any forward until the IRS fixes my tax records. I have to show proof of taxes in order to purchase a home. And I don't have those records. Even with the amending process, I think I have to wait till August 31st, and that's when a decision was going to be made. But these are all the
That's
things.
clearly a priority, and I understand that's a problem. But as this gets cleared with IRS, and I really hope that it does get cleared, you are preparing in your own way. Like, are you saving a little bit of money to become a homeowner if you can?
I am. I actually have a CD that I've kept. I put at least $5,000. That I've had that in there for. I think it's gained another $300 on interest. But that money was always, and I put that money almost 10 years ago. I put it away in that CD, and it only gained $300 in credit. However, it's out of sight, out of mind, and that was always supposed to be the lump sum of money that I was going to use towards. But everything got pushed back with the tax fraud. That co-signing of the cars thing is still lingering on my. So even though I'm doing everything right, I'm still not getting the happy ending just yet. So it doesn't. You have to still do everything right, and then you can get stopped. There can be delays, but I'm not giving up on my hope of owning my own home. This is a problem with me paying too much money for rent because I'm going to be spending a lot more money for the same exact part. It doesn't make any sense to me to stay where I'm at.
Yeah, it doesn't. And then the problem is it can go up further.
Right? Yes, it could keep going higher and higher. I have to put into consideration that I'm taking care of my kids, and I don't want to spend all my money on just rent.
In your situation, you do need some predictability. Even though home ownership has its own challenges, it's not a bed of roses, but probably it will make sense in your scenario. So I wish you come out of this IRS problem and you are able to gain it. One input on the way you have saved money, you seem like somebody who has more control since you do not run credit card debt, right? You have not done extra spending. So for somebody like you, you don't really need to put money in CD unless you really need that money in a year or two. Like now, if you want to buy your apartment, maybe you don't touch your CD. But your other money should not be kept either in CD or in a bank account. You, particularly money you know you won't need for next 5 years or so. You should be investing in stocks, and also that money gets you the right return, because the way inflation is there, like how your rent went up twice, if you're just leaving the money in bank, it's actually losing purchasing power.
Now with I did do stocks. I took, at one point I was bartending and I had a lot of extra cash coming in. I think I took $2,000 and I put towards cryptocurrency, and I put towards some other types of stocks. I was told just to leave that. I think I did a Robinhood. I think that's the name of the app. I invested into the Robinhood app. I took a couple different stocks and did it. I've not generated any money off of any of those. I think I lost majority of all my money. However, I have not touched it. I still left everything there because I was told you're supposed to take that money and not worry about it for like 3 years or whatnot, because the things fluctuate, and I'm not.
Tell me this. You are bartending. Who advised you to invest in crypto?
See, obviously the people who were drinking. People I trusted.
So they were drunk, but what were you doing? What were you smoking to listen to their advice?
I thought I was networking. I really thought that I was being told some good advice by people. However, these people were, again, when you...
I'll tell you, there is a kind of a joke, and again, nothing against any profession. Like, for example, bartending, everyone, you're doing your work, it's hard work and you deserve the money. But they joke that they say that when bartenders start investing in a stock or a crypto, that's the time you get out. That means the speculation has reached its frenzy and now it's all going to come down. Because now people sitting in bar are talking about it, and there's no barriers to it.
It did not click in my head at that time. I thought like I was being told some valuable information and I should jump on this opportunity real quick. But I would love to learn how to do stuff. I would love to learn how to invest. I would love, is that like a financial advisor? Is that who the people that you would speak to in a situation?
Yes. So there are two ways to approach it, frankly, Angela.
Yes.
One is having the knowledge, right? Knowledge is free.
Knowledge is power.
Even my channel, I talk a lot about some of these things, about how to invest, what to do, right? How to sort of compare different things, how to set yourself up in life. And there is Google, you can learn around. So first you should be more aware of what things are, and you can search for what, like, for example, if you're trying to become homeowner, how do you say, what are some of the different programs that are available out there, right? In your situation, maybe there is a different program that is available to you. So that is more of education. Same for investing, like what to invest in and all. So that you should do on your own and try and get information from wherever it comes, right? Try to go to reputable sources, but that's fine, right? If you talk to 3 people or listen to 3, even folks on social media and YouTube who are not financial advisor like myself, but if you listen to 3-4 people telling the same thing, then it's likely to be correct. Okay.
Right.
But that's one part. But then when you have to actually make a decision, like now I have this settlement, $25,000, where do I put it? Yes, I think financial advisor is the right person to talk to when you are actually making a decision about money. But when you can learn, get knowledge which is out there. It's free, most of it. But financial advisor is the one who will actually help you set up your life. You will talk about your goals and then maybe tell you how to structure your finances, what to invest in. And advice would be to try and find, there are 2 types of financial advisors. One, who are after your money. I should not say that, but
I trust more people. That's why
exactly. So they will just tell you that invest in crypto simply because this crypto company is giving them a good commission. So their job is just to find people who will take their advice and invest. So they are probably not the right people who kind of get commission from these companies and all. Or for that matter, there are certain advisors who will say that if you have this much money that you want me to manage, I'll advise you. But if you give me $100,000, I'll take 2% of that money every year for myself. Right?
Yeah.
But there are other types who will work on an hourly basis. So they will say, I'll spend 2 hours with you and this is my fee for those 2 hours. I'll give you advice. After that, you do things on your own. Those are probably the right, because they have that fiduciary responsibility and they give you the right advice. They're getting paid only for advice, not for finding the right fund and that sexy fund who gives them big commission and all that. So figure that out if you're looking for a financial advisor.
I would love to be able to actually make a smart decision with all those bad decisions I have under my belt, especially dealing with finances. It seems that it's like a lonely road. I'm by myself. I'm earning. And then little times in my life, I get off of my high horse or whatnot, and I try to trust somebody, and they've disappointed me year after year after year. Now that's why it's very hard. When you're saying that there are financial advisors out there who would be bad ones. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to hear that. I want everybody I want to go into it with an open mind and be able to trust them. And if I have to decipher a good one from a bad one, I don't think I do that well. I'm bad at it.
Be a struggle. So there is another alternative whereby, unless you have a lot of money and you really want to make,
I don't have
then yeah. So the other alternative is to keep there are 2-3 basic principles, right? One is have an emergency fund. So you figure out how much your family needs every month, bare minimum, and start with 3 months. And if you can go up to 6 months, so 3 months worth of money you need saved in a bank account or or a CD which you can access if required. There are products like that. Beyond that, you should start putting money in. You can use Robinhood for that. There are things called index fund. Do a little bit of research about it. They just track the broad stock market. You're not investing in one cryptocurrency or one stock. They're index funds. So if the entire stock market goes up, your fund will go up. If the entire stock market goes down, they'll go down. So it brings the diversity. You're not banking on one company doing good or doing bad. Right. So it's generally better to invest in the larger stock market. It has generally gone up over a longer period of time. Shorter of period of time, you may lose money, gain money. That's why if something you need immediately, you should not put there. But if you're putting it for 5 years, 10 years, then just invest in an index fund. You can't go wrong over a longer period of time. Things will go up, down, but eventually things only go up over a longer period of time. At least historically they have. So use Robinhood for that index fund investing. Do not use it for crypto and other things, particularly not in your situation. Crypto and other investments are for people who have a lot of money or extra money. They have their basic investments all taken care of. They have their house. They are already a homeowner and they have retirement savings planned for. Then they have little money left and they say, okay, let me try and...
You're 100% correct. Those are all the people telling me to spend the money at crypto, they all have houses and boats and the grandchildren or whatnot. These are all people that were established. And they're like, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. So I thought, listen, but I totally get, you're 100% correct when you say that. Those are the people who offer advice all the time.
Yeah. So that's why the financial advisor piece comes in, because financial advisor will advise you for your situation. Whereas somebody like me or somebody drinking in the bar, they might just say that in general, people should do this.
Yeah.
In general, that advice may be correct, but whether it is correct for you or not, that possibly somebody really needs to dig deeper into your finances. You also need to open up, right? You will not tell somebody in bar or even me everything that is in your life. But for a financial advisor, you may have to really open up and show them the bank statements and everything so that they really know where you are and they help you plan for yourself. So it may be a right idea, may not be immediate, maybe when you have some money saved to kind of take their suggestion. But to start with, index funds would be a good one. Okay, so you said you want to buy a house and this was your plan. Anything else that is sort of bothering you, financially speaking?
I feel very solid on a future if I continue the same spending habits. As long as I keep myself knowing that I don't spend cash unless I have it, continuously save. If I could save at least a couple $100 each month and not think about it, that's basically where I'd like to stay at this point. I'm not going to unbecome disabled. So I don't like to sit there and plan too much ahead, with this. I take everything. It's more of a spiritual thing to me. I'm very thankful and grateful that I'm able to do what I do. At the end of the day, that's basically all it is. I thank God every single day to be able to wake up and hopefully make $1 or $2. That's the best thing that I could do. I don't know if anything's going to happen as fast as I want, but I think I've been very patient so owning my first home, I think, is definitely going to happen. I just don't know how fast.
Okay. I wish that for you, that it happens sooner than later. And I also feel, since you said you were waiting for a lottery, if there is somebody deserving it, somebody like you. So yes. I don't know if you can approach them, the authorities, and figure out that beyond it being a completely random lottery, if there are ways in which situation like yours, families like yours can be prioritized.
Yes,
try to do that.
I'm going to continue. You have to. I have to write, and like you said, you have to go over and beyond. A lot of times, you can't just settle for what the answer is. Like even what you said with the creditors. If you contact the creditors and tell them I'm working on this, I'm working on that, then your credit score will improve, and maybe you'll be able to do a little bit more things. But don't ever take things for what they are. There's always a little bit more that you could be doing with yourself.
Exactly. So please continue to hustle, and I think things will turn. But broadly speaking, if I look at our entire conversation in its entirety, I see somebody who has seen a lot of adversity in life, yes, but at the same time who has faced those bravely and every time sort of come out of it. Still, you're keeping up a brave face and facing life. I think having kids is important, because that gives you an inspiration, a reason for kind of fighting on, marching on. So I'm glad that you have that as your inspiration, the reason for kind of not giving up on life. But still, there are many people who behave in a wrong way, kind of take all these difficulties and decide that just God has been unkind to them and world is not fair. You're not doing that. You're fighting on and continuing to learn even at this age. So I commend you. Things will turn around quickly for you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time today. Thank you.
It's a pleasure talking to you.